What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? My name is Noel, and you're currently listening, watching, being a part of, experiencing together the CultPop podcast live stream, aka Spoiler Alert, episode 778, which is a lot, where we review this past week's comics as well as talk about fun pop culture topics for your listening and viewing pleasure on this interface. I'm your host, Noel Bartocci. I am not Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, but it should be noted that I will mention Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex right now, located at 4327 Main Street in Philadelphia, PA, a super rad shop which caters to nerdy and nerd-adjacent individuals of all shapes and sizes, except assholes and jerk faces. Yeah.
Leave your asshole at the door.
Leave your pooper. Leave your pooper at the stupor.
Yeah.
And
walk
come
in
on
smooth
in.
and clothed of anus, or don't walk.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
You know what? As soon as you said anus too, I shuddered.
Yeah. You don't like it either.
Joining me tonight is Brian Lee. Brian,
Hi.
say hello. Hi. Hey.
Hello. Hi, hey.
Before we talk about obviously JD can't join us tonight. He is very, very busy, so we're here to inadequately fill in while he is out. But right off the bat, dude, did you see the Thor: Love and Thunder trailer?
I did see it. I saw it.
What are your thoughts, feelings, impressions?
I liked it. I really like that song being in there. I like seeing classic Thor, the classic Thor costume when he's running.
Oh yeah,
like
that was really cool.
Outfit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. And I like the vibe of what it looks like this story is about, from the trailer. Jane Foster looks cool. And I think it's cool that it's the hammer is all cracked up, implying heavily that it's the reformed hammer from the main universe, as opposed to some other Mjolnir or what have you. Yeah.
I think I saw a toy design a couple weeks ago, and it was like an all cracked up hammer, and I was like, okay, cool, good.
Yeah.
What
do you think about it? Which one?
It definitely was my thoughts. It definitely was this is only indicative of the first 15 minutes of this movie type of trailer. There was no like you could tell that every single piece of footage in this trailer, save for like one, is from the first act, which I think is great. There's no peaks of the villain. There's no like second piece of story arc. It's just the first chunk, and I like it. I like when they do that. The least I know, the better. Yeah, because I'm already kind of in the bag for it.
Yeah, you see what happens.
Yeah, I think Marvel movies, for the most part, especially sequels to movies that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
There doesn't even need to be a trailer at this point, right?
Yeah.
It's just like...
You'll see it.
Yeah.
But Thor's coming out. I was already planning on seeing it when they announced it, many years ago, like
2019,
which really?
Was 3 years or 30 years ago. I'm not sure. Lots happened.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, lots happened.
Yeah. Are you liking Moon Knight? No, speaking of Marvel stuff.
I am very much enjoying Moon Knight. I heard that episode 4 is apparently, which is the one that comes out Wednesday, is apparently there's a twist or a game changer or something like reviewers were only sent the first 4 episodes because it's a bit of a twist or cliffhanger or something. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it not being spoiled for me.
Oh, the twist or cliffhanger.
Yeah, so Wednesday I will probably stay off social media for a couple of hours during the day until I can get a chance to watch it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what we do, someone's always spoiling it. Like, I don't even actively look for shit. Yeah. But people will spoil it in my news feeds.
Right. Somebody's, it's a real pain in the ass not being able, it's one of the only downsides to the streaming era is that it's available to watch at way earlier than is convenient to watch for a lot of people.
There's YouTubers, podcasters, reactors, all these influencers of every flavor and shape and size who stay up, watch it, and immediately have content out before the sun rises.
Right.
And it's out there and everyone is just
talking about it or trying to avoid hearing people talk about it.
Yeah, essentially it's I mean it's a real childish struggle to complain about, but it's still a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not not the worst thing. I'd be there's a lot of things that I would take care of before that, but it is a downside to it not being available. It's like 8 p.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
But then again, it's nice to watch it right when you get off of work, right when you get home. That's fun too.
Yeah. We've I'm remiss to not mention we have a couple of regulars up in the chat saying hello. So hello Mars Comics, hello Dan H, Hal 2814. Also Hal had chimed in about his impression of the trailers, mentioning there was a scene with Thor looking at this big dead creature that's straight out of the comics of a creature that Gore killed, and it's almost exactly as drawn. I've already seen people meme it like side by side with Assad Ribish art and the scene in the movie, and he's right. Aside from Korg standing next to him in the movie, still, it literally looks like Assad Ribish's art, which is awesome.
That's cool.
It seems also too that they are taking the version of Thor, like they're mixing 3 different versions of characters into this version of Thor. Like you get the more playful one that's a continuation from Ragnarok, but it also seems like he's entering this life of passiveness or a conscientious objector, which is something that they did with Drax recently in the comics. There's a whole run of Guardians of the Galaxy where Drax no longer wants to harm people and becomes a pacifist, which I think is really cute.
That's awesome.
And all of the Gore the God Butcher stuff and Mighty Thor. There's so many pulls from all of this. Oh, and the Unworthy Thor, where he electively kind of gives up to. This is
right.
It's
and the Jane Foster stuff.
Yeah, which is it's parallel to the Unworthy Thor stuff. It's just there's a lot being baked into this cake, and I hope it doesn't feel overstuffed. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Did you hear about or see the Rama Tut Easter egg or reference in Moon Knight? Evidently, so that kid who cuts the ribbon, letting himself fall, on the back of his jacket, there is apparently kind of like sort of a Rama Tut drawing, hieroglyph-esque line drawing, and purple and green on there. And then I think somebody with the show was like, oh yeah, that was a Rama Tut thing.
Is there some sort of significance to that other than...
Well, Rama Tut is Kang.
Oh, it's Kang.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So he's, if he was around in ancient Egypt, and, that either plays in or doesn't play in, it's, it's a cool thing. Cool nod.
Yeah, I mean, everything points to Kang. I remember, and this will be my kind of last thought about it for the night. I do think that we're going to do a full recap of Moon Knight when it's over.
Yeah, when we get down to it.
Yeah. Which is only 3 weeks away. But before the first episode premiered, there was a bunch of clickbait headlines about it's not in the MCU and it's not holding to the MCU and blah, blah, blah. No. I'm like, guys, what do you is your reading comprehension just completely broken? They don't make direct contact with other things that are happening in the MCU. That doesn't mean that it's not a shared universe. I think people forgot how this works.
Wakanda and all that
people
stuff.
Forgot how reading comics works. Even if it's a shared universe, I don't need cliff notes and references for every single page.
Right. And Marvel movies have more or less been main star but significant guest star things
for a while now.
Yeah. So people saying oh, nobody else from the MCU shows up, is it even connected? It is connected.
Well, we went a really long time without having a new character on their own, because even the Spider-Man movies were they
Tony
double
Stark
them up with somebody. Yeah, Tony Stark, then Nick Fury, then Doctor Strange. There was always somebody with him. Shang-Chi was the closest to
you mostly just get
a main character
guest star
by fucking Trevor Slattery. Like, wait, was
Trevor Slattery.
there anyone else?
Wait, who's that?
Oh, I like Wong was in it for 2 seconds.
Yeah, like Wong, and then at the end Banner and Captain, but that barely counts. That's
But yeah,
those
were cameos
yeah,
as opposed to like a third lead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before Shang-Chi, what was the last original all new kind of character? Was that Black Panther movie? I mean,
but even Black Panther was introduced in Civil War.
yeah, introduced in there, but it was his own
but he didn't have much
here.
going
like,
on in his own movie.
Yeah, his own movie was his story as opposed to it being connected to
I guess that was
all the
the
other
case.
stuff.
And then there's been Eternals since then too.
That's
that didn't go over so big. Yeah,
I liked it.
Yeah,
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the swing that they took.
Yeah.
Guardians
of the Galaxy did not have their own thing, but you got to go back.
Yeah, but that went back forever ago.
Yeah. Mars Comics. I wanted to say I like your logo that says Mars Comics in the style of the Marvel Comics from the 90s or so logo. That's awesome.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, we're going to talk about comics. But first, I want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. And thank you for everyone joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're watching live, if anybody's watching live. If you like what we're doing here, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, spread the love. The joy of doing this live is that open and honest and earnest and playful feedback we get directly, and then we just kind of have fun during the show. You could also... lie. If you're gonna lie to me, make it a good lie, or make it like a one that makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah.
You can also email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com or join our book club Facebook group, JD's Hero Complex Book Club. It's honestly just a Facebook group where we vote on what to read twice a week and what to watch twice a week, and we just discuss it. I think this upcoming Tuesday is Friday. The first trade paperback of Friday by Ed Brubaker with art by Marcos Martin. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, just let us know and we will invite you. But let's, I don't know, you want to talk about some comic books?
Yeah, which ones do you want to talk about?
Well, I think the first thing that we're going to talk about is with the banner ready. Image! ! Image! Number 1. By... Jeff Johns, Kyle Higgins, Patrick Clendon, Declan Shelby-White, Kennedy, Scotty Young, Dan Haspiel, Wes Craig, Mark Gandolfo, Erica Henderson, Brendan Fletcher, Marcelo Costa, Andrea Moody. More than that, but that's all I felt like typing. Cool. The solicitation is as follows. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of the first Image Comics with a year-long parade of all new stories from some of the biggest and best names in comics. So, this was an anthology book, not commemorating the last 30 years of Image Comics like I was expecting. It's more so original, new, and current short stories of Image Comics, right? Which I found refreshing. I wasn't super excited about reading like another 5-page Spawn story. I'm sure that's coming eventually. But like,
they got the whole year, right?
Yeah, a Savage Dragon or a Spawn story. However, if you looked at it though, some of these short stories are 1 of 12. So some of these are going all the way, and some of them are going like for 5 or 4 or whatever.
So but Image is a 12-issue series. That's the deal with this. Okay.
This is a 12-issue anthology series. Okay. Some of the short stories have 12 parts. Some of them have 4 parts, 5 parts. Some of them are one-offs. All of them are new, no reprints. I thought this was I'm not a giant fan of anthology books because most of the time it's like 3 are good and 6 are stinkers. For the most part, this was all strong. They were really fun. And I read it very quickly. Again, usually with an anthology book, even when they're anthologies about characters that I just love, it's like 2 sittings because one's boring and then I'll just go read something else and I'll come back and finish it. This was just slick all the way through. The standouts for me were the first one by Jeff Johns and Andrea Moody. It was true crime, but then it all of a sudden turned into a monster story at the very end was teased. I don't know if you got to that one.
I did not. I kind of breezed through it a little. It looks like there's some sort of snowman.
It's a Yeti. Like, it's this trial, and murder. It's this murder trial and prisoner exchange, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, there's a Yeti. Like,
is this guy the Yeti? This guy is not the Yeti. He's
no,
different.
there's just gonna be a Yeti.
Is the Yeti responsible for the thing that the guy is on trial for?
No.
You think? No.
Nope.
He's totally
They're
separate.
just completely separate things, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Maybe their stories never intertwined. It's just this guy and his murder trial and a Yeti doing his thing.
Yep. Jeff Johns, notorious for not connecting dots. Just decided to do two separate stories altogether.
Parallel stories just happen to be by the same artist.
Yeah. The Declan Shalvey one was really, really good. Old Dog, I think it's called. Old Dog.
Yeah, I read a decent amount of that. That was cool.
It was. What did you just skim all of them? Just like boop, 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 boop.
No, I read the beginning of the first. So here's the thing, you guys out there. I meant to read all of it, and I didn't have time, and I was like, let's see what's going to happen. So I started the Jeff Johns one. Yeah.
So you just sampled each one until you got to one you wanted to finish, or you just sampled each one?
I sampled each one until I got to one that I wanted to finish, but I read most of Old Dog, and then I breezed through the end of it, and then I read the next two, then I paged through the rest of the
What were the ones that you read?
So the ones that I read were the New Gospel, I believe, on page 20.
I don't have it in front of me.
It has kind of like a light pastel art style.
If you have it in front of me, just tell me the creators.
Oh, it's
the
first
page, I think, has. Oh, that's the team of Bolero.
I thought, in fact, when I read it, I was like, "Wait, is this Bolero?"
That is one of the strongest ones. It's wild. Let's not even talk about what it's about because it's just weird. And then
it's about this guy who is in a relationship that this woman like does some weird stuff and pushes him in odd directions that he's not used to. But
it's very good.
It's cool. Yeah, it's a cool story.
It's stylistically and thematically, it's not unlike Bolero 2, where it's normal human problems, but then all of a sudden it becomes extra human, extraordinary.
Another kind of thing going on.
Interdimensional.
Yeah.
We don't know yet, but it was really good. It was really, really good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, the art style is really good. I like this art team. I like the palettes that they choose, and I like the flow of their work. It's very easy.
There's like a very wonderful neon hue aesthetic to both of Bolero and this. And I was also glad that this is one of the ones that gets continued. I think it's 5 issues or like 5 chapters of this one.
Yeah, 4. I think 4. But it's not the whole way. It's not 12.
There was another one too that I didn't know was a Radiant Black story until the end of it. Like there's
really? They're in a very Radiant Black like costume, right?
I mean, that shows up halfway through the story. So it's just a story about like an ex-convict who's trying to figure out a new business model, and all of a sudden you find out like, oh, he's the one that's been recently plaguing the Radiant Black characters because he decided to do this. So it was like a cute little filler gap issue that worked on its own.
That's cool.
This was just strong. For an anthology book, it was strong, and I really liked it.
Yeah, me too. I like anthology books usually. I like it when there's like the summer special or whatever comes out.
I think I like them more in theory than practice because the last couple of years I feel like we've, especially from DC, both DC and Marvel, because Marvel was doing like 1,000 issues and
true.
Yeah, like Marvel 1000 and 60th anniversary and whereas I know DC was doing them more.
DC did a lot of the anniversary books. They had a bunch of characters turning.
Every other week there was a $10 anthology book for every single character, and it became a little bit.
I dug those actually. I like.
Did you read every single page of all of those because they were not all strong?
I think no. I think I did. I think we did read all of them for the show. Maybe not the Green Arrow one. But I dig it. I'm like, oh, cool. A whole, even like Aquaman and Green Arrow, who were definitely not in the Flash, Green Lantern, Superman category for me.
I enjoy it in concept more than in practice. Like, because there's very, very rarely do I feel like more than 50% of this anthology book is strong or that I enjoyed all of it. This time I did, but I can't remember of the Robin one, the Batman one, the Joker one, the Catwoman one.
Yeah. Flash and Green Lantern.
The Detective Comics ones, the Flash 750, the Wonder Woman 750.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you 5 stories from all 9 of those books that resonate with me and stick with me.
Yeah, I don't know if I could remember any in particular, but
I remember like
I
3.
liked all of those. I liked reading all of those. But I like that like theme thing. It's like, oh, here's a bunch of Flash stories, and I'd say I enjoy more stories than not in those anthology cases.
Well, they're doing 12 more this year just for you.
Oh, for Image? Yeah. This is different. These aren't like a.
Oh, so you don't care about this? You don't like this?
I like the individual stories. You know what I mean, or not. But it's not like the only theme is things that are published by Image, right? But I did enjoy it. Like that's not to say I don't like it. I just don't like it for that reason that we were talking about, where it's like a whole kind of thing.
I'm an equal opportunity. I am equally skeptical of all anthology books.
All right.
Because they very typically have of like 8 stories, 8 to 10 stories, 3 of them are from premier teams and are dope, and the rest are typically like either shelved short stories or rushed things, and I just don't enjoy them that much. They always feel pretty much half-baked or a good concept that's rushed. Like a short story is very difficult to pull off, right?
True. Novelists say it's harder than a novel.
So the return on investment for my entertainment is usually pretty low. It's just I'm just a hater.
All right.
Speaking of being a hater,
what'd you think of?
Go ahead. You want to ask me a question?
Of Kaya. That was the other one that I read in full. The one
Can you tell me what? I don't have it in front of me. Can you tell me what it's about?
Yes, the story art and design are by Wes Craig, which I didn't realize.
Colors that was awesome. That was super awesome.
Yeah,
I want to see that more of that one. That's the young prince thing, monster person in the desert with the other lady who doesn't hate him but is kind of hates him. Yeah.
Oh, is that
that was awesome.
I thought that was. I thought they were 2 sisters.
I don't know. One's not human. One's humanoid. One's not. One is royalty. One's not. One's useful. One isn't. Yeah, and it's all told in
that setting.
Flashback. So.
Yeah. They're in the desert. They're alone. There is this hinted at, so at first you think it's them and their half sister, and you're like, oh, okay, she helped her survive, but then there's some animosity there that because one of them grew up in the palace that is layered in. There's a lot of tantalizing things about this situation that are hinted at in this preview in a cool way, and you just have the 2 characters.
I really like Wes Craig's art too.
Yeah, it's got a cool vibe.
He's been in comics for decades, but his most recent and probably most consistent claim to fame is the ongoing artist for Deadly Class, which is ending soon. So I hope that this is the beginning of something a little bit broader or world building.
This is the Kaya
preview, right?
Part 104. So I'm assuming all 4 parts are the preview.
Yeah. Or like all 4 parts will be like the 0 issue of something else. Yeah. All of the stuff in here is, aside from like maybe the Scotty Young thing, which is silly, all of them are either addendums to current stories or previews or jump starts for new stories.
Yeah.
Which
I bet there's like 1 or 2
makes this
like the 12
cool.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet there's like a story that is brand new and it's just this.
Even and if you think about it too, like even so, like I think the Jeff Johns one is all 12.
Yeah.
And it's about 8 pages each chapter. It's a 64-page double-sized issue when it's all done. So like these
Yeah.
are the first issues of or oversized issues of something else, which I think is just really fun.
Yeah.
Like
Cool.
as opposed to, you know what? Now that we're thinking about it, maybe that's why I've enjoyed this more, because all of them were to be continued as opposed to just lacking climax of a short story that's not being picked up anywhere else. Whereas those other anthologies that I was comparing them to.
How'd you feel about Wednesday Comics when it was coming out?
Oh, I was fine. I own it. I think it's great because they were 12 continual stories. Sequential storytelling is what I'm in the game for, not necessarily just like sometimes one 5-page character study is wonderful, but I don't know, it just takes a really good writer to pull it off. And you know, even some of my favorite creators are not good at pulling it off.
So Kaya, I felt, had this. I really liked the sort of minimalist. There's a very washed out, but also uncluttered feel to the pages, and it reminds me a little bit of Hydra, in just a little bit in terms of how open the pages feel. There's not that kind of interesting play with the panels, but the Hydra also in what was being drawn is there's a lot of empty in that, like there is here.
I saw his name recently, Jesse Lonergan.
Oh, is that right?
In a solicitation. I'll find it and I'll send it to you. He's got a new book coming out. But nice. let's move on to the next book. I think that this is a good pickup.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree. Johnny Destructo has entered the chat, so if you guys have any heckles for JD, just go ahead and spit them out and we will read them back to him slowly in the most annoying voice we can muster. So the next book we're going to talk about is Flashpoint Beyond #1, DC Comics, written by Jeff Johns with art by Eduardo Risso. After sacrificing everything to help the Flash put the universe back together and save Bruce Wayne's life, Thomas Wayne wakes up in a world he thought was no more. Forced to don the cowl once again. I don't think anybody forced him. Forced to don the cowl once again, Batman prowls the streets of Gotham, searching for answers to how this world still exists. But what he starts to uncover will send him hurling around the globe. Hurtling around the globe. Hurling is better. Hurling around the globe.
Hurl himself from point to point.
Actually, he's hurling the whole time. He gets very flight sick.
And somehow this helps.
The hunt for the Clockwork Killer starts here. So, I'm not. You know what? I won't share my. You go ahead first. What did you think of this book, Brian?
I liked it. I was on board. I am curious to see what they're doing with, the continuity type stuff that they do from time to time. It's got something to do with Doomsday Clock, which was unexpected before I saw the preview of it like 2 weeks ago, but I didn't expect it at that time. It's interesting having this Flashpoint. All right, so here's the thing with Flashpoint. It was interesting, and then they announced the New 52 was going to come after this, and then immediately it was like, I don't care at all about this alternate reality anymore. And that was like issue 3 or so. It was like right in the middle.
I didn't have that same experience, but go on.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was like, oh no, I just want to see what they're doing now. Like, they're altering their main universe. Like this alternate universe, I don't care about anymore.
I mean, I in real time that gave this. It was just an event, but in real time, they, as a publisher, upped the stakes of just the event.
Yeah,
with their publishing line. So to me, that almost made it like, oh shit, I wonder how this is going to end, as opposed to I'll catch up on it later. Like to me, it actually made me want to read it more.
But how
because it was leading into the
thing. Just got like a 1-page or 2-page spread of what was coming up next, though. And they had
hindsight.
But they had been like releasing the upcoming comics for it. There were like solicits for all of the New 52, like while Flashpoint was coming out. And I was like, I want to see what's up with this new Superboy. Also, I had mixed feelings about like what's going on, but there was a lot of me that thought it looked pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, but it's kind of cool to see what's going on in that world, how it will play into this upcoming stuff. I don't know if this has anything to do with the Justice Incarnate series. I don't know either.
I didn't read it. I thought this was fine.
All right.
I like Flashpoint in theory. No, it's fine. Flashpoint's fine. I've read it a couple times. There are some people that I know that just fucking adore it.
Oh, really?
Like it's their favorite event comic, and it's just it's like epic and fantastic, and you have to experience this to know what comics are truly like real hyperbolic shit. And that always makes me very like reticent to like, okay, it's not terrible, but relax. So I'm okay with it. I've recently gone back and read a lot of the New 52. At the time, I didn't really care, and I didn't like half of it. But I've gone back and read a lot of New 52 stuff, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty strong. Certain
Man,
titles,
very good. The beginning of
Animal
Action
Man,
Comics,
Swamp
really
Thing.
Demon Knights.
I do like Justice League.
Yeah. Me
Batman
too.
was great. Like there was a lot of really good stuff that came out of New 52. So I have no like ill will. And I loved Doomsday Clock.
Oh, me too.
Loved it.
Oh yeah.
It was just phenomenal, and I can't wait to read it again. So this was fine. They didn't negate anything that this version of Thomas Wayne has been through, which I thought was really interesting, and probably the only fascinating part of this whole book, because they make lip service to him being pulled out of his own timeline by Reverse Flash and being a foil in Tom King's Batman run, and then being a part of Infinite Frontier and Justice League Incarnate. Like they put lip service to like all of the stuff that they've done with the character since Flashpoint, but still put him back in his toy box, which just narratively I think is impressive.
Yeah.
But at this point, I am not hooked on the stuff that's introduced in this book. So in our universe, you have Batman with Mime and Marionette, right?
Yeah.
From Doomsday Clock, and they're raiding Rip Hunter's lab and seeing a bunch of stuff on the chalkboard, which is just an old school DC or modern old school DC trope.
Yeah.
I like the chalkboards Puncher too.
Yeah. I always like the chalkboards.
It's always Rip Hunter's chalkboard.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny, and that's cute.
Yeah. I thought it was cool that the Bruce Wayne Batman was a part of this too. That there is a lot more going on than just like, here's more stories in the Flashpoint universe.
And his motivation, I'm not sure if I'm down with his motivation or just what seems to be his motivation, which is, I guess he wants to save his father, who just recently was responsible for making his life a living hell for like a year.
Yeah.
And ruined his marriage.
Bruce Wayne has a lot of kind of parent issues. So
it was interesting. It was just like, I was like, all right, whatever. But then I think what really lost me was I was just primed and ready for a classic Jeff Johns final page. Like you're gonna introduce somebody, or you're gonna show something that's just like, what?
Oh, right.
Just like Countdown to Infinite Crisis, right? Or where it was the Blue Beetle issue, where like you make me love Blue Beetle for an entire issue, and then you shoot him in the head. You're gonna pull a Jeff Johns, and I can't wait. I'm not gonna peek ahead. Let's go. It gets there, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Oh yeah, and you got who this guy from the Time Masters with the
from like three different versions ago of the Time Masters from the 50s.
I think the first version was like Rip Hunter traveling around with his kid sidekick and girlfriend.
This kid with a raccoon hat. I'm like, what the and he's a little twerp. I'm like, there are it missed the mark with me. Not because I didn't recognize the person,
Yeah.
because I have not recognized people in comics before and been like, ooh, I'm gonna look that up. What's that?
Right.
It just was so lackluster.
Yeah, he's
Of
certainly not an
this kid
imposing
sitting on
figure, an interesting
this
figure.
this kid in a stupid outfit is threatening Batman sitting on his Batmobile, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I guess. So like that was and then also too, I think the series that's like the whole Beyond Flashpoint series,
Hmm.
there's like 4 writers. Like it's
Oh,
Jeff
really?
Johns and then like 2 other dudes and then
Oh,
a
really?
rotating artist. Yeah,
Huh.
so like
That's weird.
this was an interesting one-off,
Yeah.
but you did not inspire me to pick up every issue of this. You inspired me to maybe keep my ear open to see if people like it in a couple months,
Hmm.
and maybe I'll pick it up later.
I
You know what
will.
I mean? Like,
Yeah. I will definitely pick it up, and that was the case before I read the issue. You know what I mean? It's like, at least semi-main DC event. I want to see what's what. I did think they call their whole realms of existence, en masse.
oh yeah,
Omniverse, Hypertime, they call the Divine
the divine
Continuum.
continuum.
With DC, that's cool. But they have DMC circled on the chalkboard. I was like,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
it's that was in Doomsday Clock.
Oh, was it?
The divine continuum was introduced in Doomsday Clock. Yeah,
Was it? Okay.
yeah, all
Like
that
I'm
stuff. The
I'm cool with it
metaverse,
being called
omniverse.
that. Like that's cool. But it was the circles on the chalkboard that I was like, they really pointing it
Don't
to
you
you.
get it though? Don't you get it?
Oh, it's because it's DC Comics.
Yeah, duh.
Oh, I just didn't like
Uh,
I just don't like circles around letters
oh,
sometimes.
we haven't
Yeah,
mentioned it.
you
Eduardo
never brought
Risso's
that up
art was
before.
awesome.
Yeah, the art is
Just
really good.
awesome.
Yeah.
And he's not doing the rest of
Yeah.
the ongoing artist for the book is Germanico, who's very, very good, but not the same style as Eduardo Risso. So this again, I
I
feel
mean,
like
this is
this
a
issue is
zero
gonna
issue.
feel, yeah, it's gonna
It's
feel like not
yeah.
really connected.
Yeah. And I think also that's it felt like a zero issue in some ways. Not too much happened. There was a lot of setup, and that's cool. The Harvey Dent's son
That was
being, yeah, like Thomas Wayne certainly looks like he might adopt Harvey Dent's son, and I think that could be pretty cool if they do that. And it might be a reason for him to end up staying in the Flashpoint universe.
Well,
Yeah.
let's move on to a different universe.
Which universe?
The Sandman Universe.
Okay.
Sandman Universe Nightmare Country #1 by DC Comics, written by James Tynion IV, with art by Lissandro Esterin, whatever. Solicitations are as follows. Sometimes nightmares walk the earth. Every night when you sleep, the Lord of Dreams chooses the path you'll follow, into a Sylvan Elysium or down the hallways of your darkest fears. And sometimes, if it is Dream's will, those nightmares escape those halls and go out into the world. But it's not a choice he makes lightly. Today, the Corinthian walks the earth again. The most feared of all Dream's nightmares, his ravenous mouths have made him a legend among serial killers. Letting the Corinthian out among mortals is the most dangerous thing Dream could possibly do. But he has no choice, because there's another nightmare walking the earth, one that must be hunted, and this monster is the one that Dream, Lord of all nightmares, did not make. So, as the only person sitting in this room who has read the entirety of Sandman,
yeah,
what did you think of this issue, Brian?
I thought it was all right. Most of that solicit was not in this issue. Some things make sense as to who the Corinthian will be following or whatever, but this is a case where I'm glad that I didn't know that ahead of time. So this is the least interesting aspect of Sandman to me.
You mentioned that.
Yeah.
I want to say like 2 weeks ago when we talked about this book coming out.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff I don't like about Sandman. Cool.
Yeah, like I mean the Corinthian is cool. Like he's a cool character. He's as a nightmare, he's a really interesting design and character. But like his story, I think he's in Preludes and Nocturnes is the first volume, is where he's got, his story. definitely the like I even recommend not to start with volume 1, just because it's just not getting just to say that that's not even really the full Sandman vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not going to relitigate that. Like,
nobody's litigating anything. That's just my
if
solid
anybody,
opinion.
if
Yeah,
which we've both expressed multiple times. I think that like that should be like canon. The show, this should be spoiler alert canon.
yeah.
That starting Sandman with the first story arc is rough.
Yes, it is definitely rough, but relevant in that the Corinthian is, it's like it's the horror stuff, the like kind of straight up horror stuff. And not only is it not really my bag, there's so many more things that interest me more in the realm of Sandman than like murders, like human level kind of sort of thing, albeit with dreams involved. The art is pretty good for the kind of story that it is. It's a watercolor, and it definitely fits. And then when they're in the dreaming, that really suits the dreaming as well. It's a different artist. So yeah, I thought it was ably told. And the Mr. Agony and Mr. Ecstasy. Oh, was a little, a little bland of a naming sort of choice with them. And they both seem to be pretty agonist in their ways. But they're very Sandman-esque sort of characters, but definitely tending more towards horror, and we'll see where they go. But yeah, overall, it was all right. It's not a Sandman book that I think I'll rave about.
Yeah, I read it. I've very much been enjoying a lot of Tynion's work lately.
Yeah.
Something That's Killing the Children, Department of Truth, all that jazz. Read the first 15 or so chapters of Sandman. It's fine. I dig it. I couldn't. I struggled. I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Reading this, I was just the opening scene was so maudlin and overwritten, like somebody unprompted decides to start telling you in vivid detail about their dreams in conversation at a bar
from childhood on.
I was like, it felt like a first year writing student was reading me their poetry. And I was just like, I don't care about any of this. I don't even know your name. I don't care. And then the art was fine, but then it goes into I want to say like 3 or 4 page sequence from Yannick Paquette.
Yeah, when they're in the dreaming.
Which was
so much
stunning.
Better. Yeah.
That it made the rest of the book look bad.
Yeah. And that's also much more Sandman-ish. Like Sandman stuff does sometimes do the more abstract watercolor kind of thing, but like they nail the dreaming in this, and that feel, and then just then goes back into the other thing.
So the general the main conceit of the book is the Corinthian has been let loose to stop something worse than him. I guess
that's not what you get from the
solicitation. What I get from the book is over-explainy lady had a bad dream, and then the Corinthian shows up.
No, it was the guy
then you get one scene.
The guy that she slept with was having a nightmare, and the Corinthian showed up,
and
then was like, "How come you painted me all over the place?" Which seems to be his motivation. Like, I happened to find out that somebody in the waking world had done a lot of paintings of me, and there's no real like, Corinthian, you have to go chase after these two guys. I commanded to you.
And so much as a first issue.
Hey, it's Carl Carls.
Yeah.
Oh, Carl Carls, we haven't seen you for some time. How's it going?
Hi, buddy. As a the things that a first issue should or could do, I don't think this catered to anybody that wasn't just familiar and or already in the bag for anything with Sandman on it, which is upsetting to me. Like I if anything, I wanted this to be a gateway for me, and it wasn't.
Yeah, they could have. Now the Corinthian isn't my favorite, but a lot of people really think he's cool, and they could have had this be a lot more Corinthian centric. You know,
those people are. I mean, are already buying this book, or are already going to buy every issue of this book without like even. So it's fine.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Just that the fact that a lot of people think he's cool means there's a lot of other people who might think he's cool too, but haven't been exposed to him. And this book wasn't that much of an introduction to his deal, or even what his deal will be in the book. You know?
Yeah, I found it pretty boring. Very well done, but very boring.
Yeah.
If I didn't already care, then I wasn't going to start caring from this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will likely drop it. I'm going to drop this book, and then maybe down the line, if I hear that it becomes something
you get a trade.
So much better, then I'll pick it up and trade. But I didn't find this enjoyable at all.
Yeah. That's a shame. And not that there's probably other Sandman things coming, but they just got rid of a bunch of other things and presumably have some sort of plans for it. Who knows? I mean, there's a show, right? There's a show that's in the works. Whatever. So they probably are doing something comics-wise.
It almost doesn't even matter because the book is in every single format, reprinted in perpetuity constantly. So it's like they don't even need new material at this point. They're just going like Sandman is still being reprinted now in new editions for the show, but it just got done being reprinted in new deluxe editions for the Audible. And then right before that, they just reprinted all the absolutes because the omnibuses were out of print, but now the omnibuses are going to be back in print. This book is never searching for a new audience. You know what I mean? Like it's just always, or they never need to do anything new because it's always finding an audience. It's one of those books. So, I mean, you had an opportunity. I felt like this was.
Yeah, I'm just hoping they do other. I hope this isn't the ongoing Sandman Universe thing. Although I have not read the Sandman Universe books with the fervor that I read Sandman and Lucifer. I guess technically, the Tim Hunter stuff is in the same.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple years ago, that new Constantine's, the new Hellblazer series was in the Sandman Universe, and Tim Hunter, or that Books of Magic book was in the Sandman Universe, and they intersected, and there was a Dreaming book, and
none of the character really from Swamp Thing is his Raven, which is something going into Sandman, but I didn't find out for years later.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, speaking of fun. What's really fun is if you have the ability to support the show, patreon.com/ShinyDestructo. If you can support what we do here, create content, be a tiered member, and you can get cool free stuff from JD. But if you can't, still, you can support the show by youtube.com/CultPopGo, like, comment, subscribe, facebook.com/CultPopPodcast, like, comment, subscribe, say hello, join for the live streams, be a doll, rate and review, all that jazz. It helps us out. It just does in ways that I don't know yet, but everyone keeps saying it does. So just do it. That's cool. It's low effort, high impact. So the next book we're going to talk about is Immortal Red Sonja, #1 by Dynamite Comics. Yeah, we're going to skip one and just go straight to Immortal Red Sonja. By Dynamite Comics. Written by Dan Abnett of Abnett and Lanning fame. With art by Alessandro Miracolo. It is a time of British legend. A young Red Sonja, cursed by mysterious chainmail, seeks counsel with the mysterious Merlin. She seeks to be rid of her curse in order to forge a future of fantasy and adventure. She will be pursued by the loathsome Grieved Knight, and if she survives and arrives at the castle of Merlin, what she finds would be infinitely more than she bargained for. So, I have historically never given a shit about Red Sonja, Vampirella. Yeah, just those two from Dynamite Comics. The cheesecake nature of most of like the covers and stuff never did anything for me. But in my older age, I follow writers and artists more so than characters. So I want to say 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more. I love Mark Russell. He was writing Red Sonja. So I'm like, Mark Russell writes Red Sonja. I'll give it a shot. It was fucking awesome. So now I'm oddly kind of compelled to sample these books. I'm not into them whole cloth because there are still bad Red Sonja and Vampirella books.
All right. Yeah, there was a Vampirella that we read for the show that was pretty cool. I had no idea what her deal was, being an alien vampire.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
We gave it a shot because it was from Christopher Priest, who's been writing it for a while, and it's like, holy shit, this is really entertaining. So I saw that Dan Abnett was of Abnett and Lanning fame, Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of Marvel cosmic stuff.
Yeah. They did the after Giffen. They did the Annihilation,
all of it. Yep,
that stuff. Yeah, that was cool.
Annihilation, Conquest, all the Nova stuff, all of the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, all of it. It's them. They are the architects of modern cosmic Marvel.
I think they also did an awesome Legion of Superheroes run. That was great, and
it was after Wade, right before New 52. That was like during Infinite Crisis time. Yeah,
that was cool.
So I saw his name. I saw a new #1. I did read the solicit, and I was just like, that sounds stupid. Let's do it.
All right.
So read the issue. I thought this was kind of cool. I thought this was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was stupid, but really well done stupid. You know, like it was sword and sorcery with a pulpy character. It was a peanut butter and chocolate.
She's a very pulpy character. Yeah.
She's James Howard. Conan.
Is she actually that old?
I mean, I think so, or at least adjacent to each other. Like they are.
She is sometimes part of the Conan universe, right? Or always
Robert E. Howard.
Robert E. Howard. Yeah.
It's all in that same pulp vein, and that's honestly that's what it seems. That's what Dynamite does. Just all pulp stuff. John Carter, Deja Thoris, like all that.
I think they also published all of the. You remember a few years ago there were all these like Gold Key, I think, public domain heroes, the Black Terror, and that was Dynamite too, right?
Project Superpowers, Green Hornet.
That's cool.
I think they have the right to the Spirit now.
Oh, nice.
Either way, Dynamite's doing all that jazz.
Shadow. I read it. I
think they do.
Do that? Well, I'm obviously not reading it.
Well, I mean, also like I think it. I will bring up there was some controversy with Dynamite Comics and Comicsgate 2 or 3 years ago. So for a while I was like, I don't really want to support the hate group, so I won't read Dynamite. And I think that's dissipated at least enough for me to be like, I will explore these stories.
All right.
But I enjoyed the way that they very adeptly mixed peanut butter and chocolate, the pulpy with the sword and sorcery in a fun way.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do this. This is fun. The art was serviceable. It was actually, it wasn't stellar, but it also wasn't bad. There was one panel that I wanted to take a picture and show you guys, and I don't have the book with me. There's one panel where she's talking in the foreground and she does this with her hand. And I think the colorist or the inker just didn't feel those pencils, and it looks like she's got a lobster claw.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
That was the only panel I found that was just like really freaking weird. But besides that, everything was great. Like it's
a very sword and sorcery kind of art too. You know, like it fits in with this fantasy style. So what's the deal, Noel? Do you know with Red Sonja? Is she always immortal? Is it always this?
No.
There's not always like a Arthurian connection here.
No.
Okay.
I don't even really know. I don't know enough to know when the actual timelines of things intersect, but I got the impression that it is well post Arthurian, and she is going to be thrown back into it because the chainmail has been possessed for
Oh,
like
wow.
1,000 years, hundreds of
Although
years.
apparently it's multiple chainmails in succession.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a surprise, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's been eons.
It's been a while, definitely a long time since Arthur has
So
been around. But she's like
yeah.
that mythology is part. You know, they've got the Pendragons and Arthur himself, and you know.
I don't know enough. So the main Red Sonja series I have read and I own is the Mark Russell stuff, which was very self-contained and most. It was a fucking book about monarchies and geopolitics with barbarians, which was fascinating. And then I own the Gail Simone run of Red Sonja that I haven't read yet. But for the most part, it is just kind of like she's a bitchin' warrior and kind of travels the world and has.
But she doesn't have any
herself,
like,
not unlike Conan.
Main mystical power. She's not like
she does not have any
immortal,
powers. However,
right.
No, but she, just like with Conan, she often is entangled with
runs into
curses and spells and creatures and things. Yeah.
That was an interesting concept that they had here. Okay, right. The idea that the curses always reform when you beat them to constantly keep you in them. That was an interesting idea.
Yeah, they changed the rules. I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah. And this the antagonist was cool too. The you have to tell me a story and it has to be true. And then she barely avoids him by mentioning the name and leaving it out wouldn't be true, which I would argue, actually. I think, you know what I mean? It's like, you didn't mention what the color of the grass was either. But then the guy is like, I was cursed to do this. It used to really suck, but now I like it. He turns into this big goblin guy and they fight. It was cool, very unexpected. So, yeah.
It was
a good tease for what's next.
Dan H jumped in the chat. I'm thinking about picking this up. The only Red Sonja I've read is Gail Simone, which was great because Gail Simone. So this was enjoyable, but I cannot recommend enough Mark Russell's run, which is a 24 issue run. I think 2 trades of it are out. And I loved it enough to try other Red Sonja stuff. And same with Vampirella. I liked those 2 issues of Christopher Priest's Vampirella enough to be like, shit, did I miss the boat on this?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? I think it's the Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing. You've got a seemingly stupid, kitschy, pulpy conceit, but you treat it with such like earnest respect with like actual characterization that it elevates the conceit. So you've got a character like Vampirella who's a fucking alien from Draculon that drinks blood.
Definitely, yes. But that's also more than I thought she was about anyway. Like, I never knew beyond the costume like what her deal was. And when we read that, I was like, oh, she's an alien? That's interesting.
Yeah, but treating that with actual like character development and intrigue. It's gonna sound stupid, but you start to get into the story so much that you forget that she's wearing like a bathing suit as her costume. It's because it's the most unimportant part of the entire issue, right?
Oh yeah.
So I like being surprised by stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So these books have been kind of surprising me.
Excellent.
We have one more book to talk about this week.
What's that?
It's a doozy.
Is it a doozy?
It's X-Men 92, House of 92, or Roman numeral XCII.
Yes. Because it is similar to House of X.
House of X. X-Men House of X. So, by Marvel Comics, written by Steve Fox with art by Salvador Espin. solicitations are as follows. Everyone's favorite 90s incarnations of the X-Men have returned, but this time, everything is even all newer and all more different.
It's even all newer.
Even all newer. Mutantkind is taking a huge leap forward by founding their own nation on the island of Krakoa, guided by Professor X, Magneto, and a mysterious, long-lived woman who knows more than she should. That's right. The 90s X-Men are tackling the Krakoan age 30 years early, and it's not going to go the way you expect. So, I mean, for the most part, I love the Krakoan age of X-Men. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I have been catching. I didn't read it all in real time. I only read the Hickman stuff, but I've been going back and reading some of it, and it's very strong. It's very good. I don't enjoy the 90s cartoon comics. I think we did a G.I. Joe, a G.I. Joe issue that was like 90s cartoons, and it was like, I don't have like that. I'm not that steeped in nostalgia that I will forego like a good comic just because it looks like a cartoon I used to watch.
Right.
But
yes,
I thought that this sounded funny. Like,
just them doing the House of X story. Yeah.
Which is hilarious. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I thought this was stupid. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was, if I never read it, I don't feel like my life would be missing anything. But it was a very enjoyable read nonetheless. I really, really liked so the House of X Powers of 10 stuff is very, very intricate. And I think I was most impressed with how this one issue just streamlined a lot of that shit.
It gives you all of House of X. Right.
Almost all of House of X. Yeah. Like it's 3 issues of Hickman setup in like one. Right. And it's very breezy.
Yeah.
And it starts with the attack on Orcus, which is like a mega mold, and all of the main X-Men die. And then you do the whole resurrection thing, and it's just like it's so quick and fast. Some of the changes that they made to make it more cartoony was great. So like instead of Magneto walking around with a bunch of UN officials to try and get ambassadorial. Ambassadorial.
Well, it depends on the next word that you want to
become use. Become an embassy.
Oh yeah,
a United Nations embassy. It's just Psylocke walking around the mansion, and instead of like it's
and the president and somebody else are there, and the Canadian. They just like Canadian, came to the mansion.
It's just guys. It was just cute, and then also too when they all like get resurrected into the eggs, they're all just still in their uniforms.
Yeah,
just standing there.
Yeah.
It was and then the Moira swap at the end was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that was unexpected. I thought so. That's the thing. All right. If you read this without having read House of X, I don't know how much you'll get out of it, right? Like a lot of it was cool because it was like, oh, the House of X idea is done in the 90s cartoon, almost like seeing the Three's Company actors drawn in the style of 70s animation or whatever, like
it's
Seinfeld in 70s animation, whatever.
It's a juxtaposition,
in a different art form. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah.
So that was interesting. I liked how they swapped some things out. Like the 5 are different people who some of whom we may know, and others, they may have just made up for this.
It seems as though they were, so like I didn't watch every single episode of the TV show, but it seems as though they only stuck with characters in the TV show canon instead of some of the characters that were created outside of comics in the preceding 30 years.
Yeah. So like Hope Summers is not anywhere.
She's not in there. Egg. Tempo is because they were there back then. Like they just kind of swapped it out and made sense of it.
Tempo was there back then? I thought Tempo was a way newer character.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I recognized the guy next to her in like, I think he was on the Asteroid M. He's got one of the acolyte looking outfits. He's really tall with red hair. He looks vaguely
I don't
familiar.
remember.
Yeah.
I gave this book enough goodwill to just be like, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I didn't question shit. I was just like, okay.
And you've got like Professor X in that helmet, but
Yeah.
it's the
Krakoa.
Cerebro of
That's
at
right.
the 90s comic, you know?
The 90s comic, or the 90s cartoon Krakoa helmet was hilarious.
Yeah.
Just the two big cables.
Yeah. But
This
I
was
liked the thing at the end. Was cool. Oh, also, I just saw they've got a Spider-Man thing there, which Spider-Man was in the same continuity as that X-Men. At least you could think that because they did a crossover with all the same voice actors in one or the other show. But that's a very small thing. But I liked the twist at the end as to who takes Moira McTaggart's place in this version. I don't know if there was a Moira in the X-Men cartoon. I feel like there was.
I thought so.
Yeah, I think so.
She's very Irish.
Yes. Yeah.
Very Irish accent.
Yeah. But this is more fun. This is more like X-Men cartoon.
This plays with the style. A very, very big part of House of X Powers of 10 is the betrayal. This plays with the betrayal more than like Moira would. The sense of betrayal from the other characters. But I like, as much as I enjoyed reading this, I probably will not keep reading it. This was just like a fun, weird one-off. Also, I do also wonder who this is for. Like the intersection of 35, 40-year-old dudes who watch the cartoon but also are up to date with Krakoa comics.
Probably.
Like that Venn diagram wherever it crosses.
Yeah.
This isn't for anybody new.
Or anyone who is into House of X enough that they'll just read any version of it. Or maybe all ages, maybe they would like it. You know, if you get this is like a really breezy House of X thing. Who knows?
It's I feel like those are true, could be true, but feel like more outliers.
Yeah.
Because this is two very specific
they also
flavors that are being merged.
They do or have had, I think there was an X-Men cartoon comic that was running for a while, right? So if that was successful
30 years ago.
No, I mean like recently.
They had X-Men 92. It was like a mini series.
Oh, but that's in the comics universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
So it's like I'm not knocking it. It's just like this is such a specific two versions of a genre to like merge together. It's like this is for like one sliver of the demographic.
Yeah.
Some others will stumble on it and maybe enjoy themselves, but like this is like real narrow focused content, right?
True. No, we'll see. We'll get those sales numbers. It's interesting. Magneto also is in his red and purple the whole time. That's another thing that they do. You know, nobody's in a different costume.
Nope.
Very cartoon.
There are no secondary costumes.
Yeah.
None. Even when they're in spacesuits, it's just like armor on top of their costumes.
Yeah. Well, those are much easier action figures to make, maybe.
Obviously, you don't have to really change the molds all that much. You just kind of add
just
two pieces, and it's
the paint job is already the same. You just yeah.
You got to think work smart, not hard.
Yeah. Did you ever hear about Marvel classifying the mutants as non-human in order to save money on action figures?
No.
So the way that I saw it was like, Marvel does what Trask and all of their worst villains can. There's a lower tax or import tariff or whatever it is on non-human figures than there is on human figures, action figures or dolls, presumably. And so Marvel argued that the X-Men are mutants and are not human, and so they should get taxed at a lower rate.
They're not wrong.
Right.
If anything, that is a brilliant lawyer.
It's true. And I wonder if aliens commonly get taxed at a lower rate too. But, in universe, it doesn't make any sense. Like they're not human. They're the next
humanoid.
evolution of humans. You know what I mean? Like the humans shouldn't fight against them. They should be like, oh, awesome. We're turning into this. This is great.
I mean,
I'm jealous.
I mean, I mean, and being jealous has never, ever preceded violence.
I don't think so. Actually, wasn't even that the cause of what some religious folk consider the first murder? Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
God liked his sacrifice more than the other one.
Anyway.
Yeah.
That was all the comics this week. I read a couple others, but haven't finished them, or we're not talking about them today. I will say the fourth Reckless book came out this past week by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips.
What was it?
If anybody's reading these, I haven't finished the fourth one yet. I'm probably going to finish it tonight. But if anybody's been reading these books, it's about the PI Ethan Reckless throughout the 70s into the 80s. They're fucking phenomenal. Probably the best thing that this creative team has ever done, and you should pick them up.
All right.
We never talk about them because we don't talk about OGNs. We only really talk about
it's true.
Weekly comics. So pick them up. Pick them up. Pick them up. Pick them up.
There you go.
Read them all. Pick them up. But besides that, I'm read them all. Pick them up. Read them all. Pick them up. Pick them up. Read them all. Pay hi. So, in closing, like, subscribe, comment, write us about us on all the interwebs, but only good stuff. And be sure to turn on your notifications, ring the bell. When we go live, you'll know. Just join us next week. Read your comics, say hello, be a friend. We do this to hang out with you guys, so don't be strangers. Brian, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I wouldn't.
It's very well put.
Thank you.
To the point. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week, man.
Yeah.
Be good.
Sounds
Read your
good.
comics. Tip your waiter.
Yeah.
Bye.
You have one.
No, find a waiter. Tip
them. Make him yours, and then tip him.
I mean, don't just tip some other waiter, like somebody that's helping someone else.
Else's waiter.
Yeah.
What if you're not sure if they're a waiter or not, but you just do not risk it? Just give them a couple of bucks.
Is it rude to give people money?
I wouldn't think it was rude if somebody did that to me. You know,
well, you can only work off your own perspective.
I do my best, right? And if I don't think it's rude for somebody to give me money, then I think other people,
not. There it is.
You give it to other people.
That's it.
You're on the safe side.
Brian nailed it. There's no holes in that argument. I will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.